Welcome to the Richard Sherman Podcast. Hit that sub button if you're new. We're here to give you great NFL content. Please tune in.
Richard, we got to take it to Houston. The Texans played one of your favorite teams in the NFL, one of your favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, and Trevor Lawrence. And he proved again that he is worthy of this colossal contract he signed this offseason. Richard, the Jacksonville Jaguars are off to a remarkable start this year at 0-4. Richard, Houston wins late. The Texans are 3-1 now. You talk to me about the Texans because they needed this win bad, and it came down to the wire. A division foe in the Jags. Talk to me, my friend.
Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars battle. It was one of their better games this season, both offensively and defensively. They were finding a way to get stops. They led for a good portion of this game. I gotta check my notes, Mitchell, because some of these fans are so hard on us because they don't understand how tough it is to watch freaking 6 games at the same time and try to take notes and try to watch this one and try to watch this one and think you may not miss something. You're not watching this game because you didn't see everything that happened to my team. Easy. You're on 3rd Street. We're watching. It's just tough to keep up with every dang play. We're talking about the Jacksonville game. Yes. Trevor Lawrence played really good. Tank Bigsby played a really good game running the football. Had more yards than Travis Etienne. And their rushing attack, that's always the best friend of a quarterback, a good running attack. And Travis Etienne played a really solid game. But Brian Thomas getting involved, getting that red zone touchdown off the muff punt. But Trevor Lawrence, again, played a game manager style game. And again, gets credit for being a generational talent, but only really needs to manage the game. And I think once we get to the point in the NFL where the owners and GMs understand you only need a game manager. And most of these quarterbacks are only that. I talked to a GM that said, hey, we're taking guys in the top 5 right now that wouldn't have gotten a 2nd round grade just because the quality of player has dropped so tremendously. And I think that's something we got to recognize, that we want every draft class to have a generational guy, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes. That's not necessarily true. Accept the guys for what they do when they're playing. We got to stop labeling them pre-snap and allow them to play and then label them. Because once they play, you see what they're going to be. Now, some guys you're like, hey, I can see the potential there. Maybe if we get them in a different system, maybe they need time to develop, i.e. Geno Smith, i.e. Sam Darnold right now in Minnesota. Maybe he needs to be put in a better situation, i.e. Justin Fields right now, finally taking the steps that are necessary. They lost today in Indianapolis, but I think that was more of a show of that defense kind of taking a step back and having a rough game than the offense. That defense has been all world the first 3 wins, and the offense hasn't been giving them much. And then CJ decides in the second half of this game to play a phenomenal game. But back to where we started, Trevor Lawrence has lost 9 straight. And not that all wins and losses, they give quarterbacks credit for them. So it's not a quarterback stat, but it's quarterback stat. Because if he wins the games, they say Trevor Lawrence has won 9 straight. You lose the games, they're going to say you lost 9 straight. And he's not playing bad football. He didn't play a bad game. He didn't turn the ball over. He gave his team a chance. He had 2 touchdown passes, even though one of them was just a little short pass to Brian Thomas. See, I knew when they called him Brian Robinson multiple times in the broadcast. Now they got it in my head that it's Brian Robinson. But they didn't do enough. And this is the division game. You're 0-4 to start the season. You start to consider what's going so wrong, because there are very few 0-4 teams that make the playoffs. Your defense isn't necessarily playing well enough. Even though at times they stood up. They gave up a late drive, obviously the game-winning drive to Houston at the end, the touchdown to Agumbawale. I knew I would butcher that too. But CJ Stroud threw for 345 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins continues to lead the league in receiving yards, a career high 112 receptions for 151 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs had a really cool play where they ran a reverse. Looks like it was supposed to be a pass, but he didn't see the look that he wanted to see. Cut it up the middle, easy touchdown. Or he saw the look that he wanted to see, and the look that he wanted to see was me. Hey, this one's mine. Y'all not throwing me enough, so y'all put it in my hands. I'm gonna get it in the end zone. And this team is gonna be a tough team to beat. You know, they stumbled a little bit last week, but this is a team we expected to see. They fought through adversity, but Jacksonville is gonna have to look at the man in the mirror, figure out what the problem is, because it's so disappointing to have a solid game like this and then come up short. They just didn't make enough plays. And again, when you're making $55 million, the microscope is on you, and it's fair or unfair for you to elevate your team to victory. And they're expecting that from not only you, but the other quarterbacks. They expect that from Joe Burrow. They expect that from Josh Allen. They expect it from Patrick Mahomes. They expect it from Dak Prescott. So this isn't just a Trevor Lawrence thing. The criticism is the same. You start to make that top 5, top 3 quarterback money, you have to give that top 5, top 3 quarterback play, or else we need to stop paying these quarterbacks like this that we know aren't elevating their teams just because we're afraid of what the alternative is. Because if the alternative is you take a couple years with Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew or Derek Carr or whoever the case may be, where you feel like they're not necessarily a generation but a bridge quarterback, then you do it. Because sometimes those quarterbacks give you a better chance. That's why you got guys like they're thinking about benching Daniel Jones, or did they do it officially? Because you say, hey, there's other quarterbacks that can get us solid play. They can hit the plays, because there are a couple plays in that game where the Giants missed wide open guys, game-changing plays. There were 2 or 3 passes where it was like, hey, this is a free play. Just put the ball on him and let's get down the field, and we got a huge play. Malik Neighbors makes it pretty easy for you to just put it on him. He's open, and you're missing him. You just need competent NFL play, and we're not getting that. He's not playing at a high enough level that his team needs, and that's the problem right now in Jacksonville.
Richard, you want to talk about a guy that got paid in the offseason and elevated his game, unlike Trevor Lawrence? Nico Collins, as you mentioned. This guy, talk about a rare combination. The Ohio State Buckeyes, CJ Stroud throwing to the U of M Wolverine, Nico Collins, forming arguably one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league right now. Richard, shout out to Nico Collins. You got to love to see it with a guy like this. Frankly, at U of M, they ran the ball. I mean, everyone knows they run the ball, and to see him excel so much in the NFL, the Texans got a steal in Nico Collins.